Well, right now, we want to welcome Hawaiian and Chicago Heavyweight Pro Lorenzo Hood on the Fightlete Report, and he'll be on Dana White's Contender Series August 31st. He fights Lukaz Brezski on ESPN Plus and knockout over Jake Zogg at Valor Fighting Challenge 80 earlier this month in the first round. Fighting for the UFC contract and has competed in bare knuckle fighting, boxing as well. You had a history in both of those. I'm not sure if you've done Muay Thai or kickboxing before, have you?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I have over like 40 kickboxing fights pro.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of got started originally.
Yeah. I got started in the kickboxing. That was my first venue into combat sports, and then from there, obviously, it was just a whirlwind of everything else.
Definitely. Well, we appreciate you being on the show. I know Chicago Fight Teams where you're training. And 3-fight streak, all finishes, first round, and you're a very exciting fighter to watch, obviously. So everybody check out Lorenzo Hood. And again, we appreciate you being on the show, man. I'm glad things are going well with you, Chicago Fight Team. And talk about your recent victories. Like, what do you attribute your success to?
Well, one, obviously, my boys down Chicago Fight Team, that's been a life game-changing thing for me. First time in my whole career where I've trained ground and wrestling more than once a week. We train it every single day. I mean, so this is the first time in my whole life I actually can call myself a mixed martial artist, as opposed to just being a high-level striker, and that's all I was ever known as a guy who can strike. And ever since I went, it's been about 6 months now at Chicago Fight Team, man, it's really changed my entire game. From being able to wrestle offensively and defensively, to honing in on the things in jiu-jitsu I did really well, to just everything, man, on the ground, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I guess you can attest a lot of it too. Honestly, just mindset, man. Like for me, back in 2015, 2016, I was on top of the world, with Bellator, was Black Zillions, and I had all this stuff going on, and everything was going great in life. But I wasn't training the way I needed to train. Like there was a lot of success coming, and I was like working hard. I've always been a hard worker, but I wasn't doing the things I really needed to be doing. I wasn't in the gym grinding wrestling. I wasn't in the gym grinding my jiu-jitsu. I wasn't in the gym, grinding, my cardio. I wasn't, and a lot of it attests, just one, being young mentally in the game, being mentally immature. And then two, like, it was weird because I felt like I kind of got cheated out of a couple fights. Mm-hmm. Like the Curtis Blades fight, man, like those people who saw that fight, like, man, dude, I was winning that fight and then slammed Curtis and I hurt myself slamming him and taking him down, and again, had I been the fighter I was now, I would have fought that differently, but I was, more worried about, trying to take down the guy that everybody was talking about. The wrestling was so good, so I'm like, listen, I just want to shut these people up. Like I just fought the wrong way, doing the wrong things. And honestly, the biggest turnaround in my, the greatest things that ever happened to me were my few losses, man. Like in Bellator, when I got hurt, I got surgery. I came back from the surgery super fast to fight because I was worried about like losing some of that limelight and that, all that, that buzz that I had generated. So I came back to fight Shelton Graves way too soon, but I felt great. I lost that fight. I wasn't ready. My knee still wasn't ready. And then Tyler Team, man, that fight to me changed my entire combat sports career because, so I fought that fight again. So that was a couple of months after the Shelton Graves, maybe not a couple of months, maybe, a while after the Shelton Graves fight. My knee, I didn't let it heal properly, so I re-injured it. Going into that fight, I trained a matter of maybe like, I don't know, man, like a couple hours wrestling, a couple hours, of cardio. I was hurt and I was like, dude, I mean, that was so bad that I had to sign a waiver stating that like I could possibly lose my leg during the fight. Yeah, I'll never forget, that was like super crazy because I was like, wow, like that's a real thing. I was winning the fight and the second round, I think, against Tyler, and he caught me in a guillotine against the cage. Dude, like being real, I pride myself on keeping it real. I don't bullshit no one. There was 10 seconds left in the second round. Dude, I just gave up. I was like, dude, my knee is killing me. Like the guillotine's not super tight. I didn't knock him out in these 2 rounds. I really don't want to go to a third, man. And, being honest, I just gave up. I just quit. And it was one of the worst feelings I've ever had to deal with in my entire life. Dealing with that, it really played man, it damaged me. I retired after that, man, because I couldn't deal with the fact that I quit on myself. I quit on my coach, and no one knew that. My coach didn't even know that until, probably, when we came back into training again, like a year ago. I told him, I said, hey, listen, there's something I got to tell you, and I got to apologize but, that right there molded me and started just a whole different type of fighter. So hard on myself about it because I'm like, I can't believe it. I've never quit and I just did it. So fast forward, I retired 2016. I got healthy, got the surgeries I needed, actually healed up, actually did the right. 2018, I was like, okay, let's start training again. Fought Ronald Carter, I believe, in 2018, who at that point was like 16 and 16. He was a super veteran, super tall guy, like 6'7", 6'8". And I ended up knocking him out in the first round with a head kick. And I was like, okay. But I still wasn't ready. I still wasn't mentally there where I needed to be. So I'm like, hey, let's go back to boxing, kickboxing, and bare knuckle, and really hone in on a lot of the skills that I've not been able to hone in on, as well as working some of these other things out mentally. Best thing I could have ever did, honestly. And then came back 2018. Obviously the pandemic hit everybody hard. I was training every single day, doing all the proper things, fought a couple times bare knuckle. I won all those fights, first round knockout, fought a couple tough dudes, and then people obviously started to remember, like, oh, dude, I remember this guy from before. He had been knocking people out before, and then obviously the pandemic happened, and that stopped everything. And right after the pandemic, I hit up Coach Roberto, and I was like, hey, man, this is the deal. At that point in time, I was 13-4. I was like, I need to wrestle. I need somebody to be on my ass. Like, I will give you everything I have every single day. I just need you to point me in the right direction, to tell me what I need to do, and I promise you'll never see a guy who works harder than me. Sure enough, man, I walked into the gym, and I think my first words when I walked in was like, oh, this is perfect. Just sweaty, gritty, grinding type of gym, man, where, you don't get anything there without earning it. Mm-hmm. You're training with some of the best dudes in the world. You got the $1 Million Man, you got Belal, you got Horacio, you got so many great dudes that are in there that if you don't bring your A game every single day to elevate yourself, people lose respect for you. So we bring it every single day. We hold each other accountable. It's the best thing to do. So then, we fast forward, told like the promotions, like, hey, we'll fight anybody. We don't really care who it is. Just get somebody in there. They gave us a jiu-jitsu guy who's a jiu-jitsu instructor. And I was like, of course, my first fight against a jiu-jitsu guy. I didn't have a great record, but we were like, whatever. So my goal was, I was like, I want to take this dude down and beat him up on the ground just to prove a point, regardless of what he was. Sure enough, man, we came out and hit him a couple times, took him down, controlled him, beat him up on the ground, obviously finished him on the ground. We were supposed to fight another opponent. We had a couple people backed out. They picked up that Jake dude, stepped in, a couple weeks notice. I guess, he was he wanted to fight as well. And we did what we needed to do, finish him in the first round. And I couldn't be more excited, more focused, and more locked in on anything than I've ever been over the past year, man. So it's a great time for me. It's a great time for Chicago Fight Team. Great time for my other coach, Paul Reinhardt. We've all been grinding together.
Excellent, man. I'm glad it's working out for you as well as it has. And, you talk about Roberto Ramirez, head coach, of course, the rest of the crew at Chicago Fight Team, they've been doing pretty well. Being able to be part of the gym and how natural it was for you. I know you've trained in some different gyms in Chicago. You've been to Black Zillions, now at Sanford MMA. And so talk about how natural it was for you for Chicago Fight Team.
It's like, we're all family, dude. It's crazy.
Definitely, man. That's great that you guys are really meshing well. You talk about your fight, of course, Lukaz Brezski, August 31st. How about preparing not only to fight him, but winning emphatically? Like the first contracted UFC fight.
Even Max is one of our guys turning pro. There's that circle. Those guys are the core. I fit right in. Like I came, I didn't say anything. I just bust my ass every single day. And it was like maybe a weekend, dude. And here we are all under the same thing, the same goal. And man, like those dudes, and me and all of us couldn't be more close. And my other guys, that weren't even there, like my other heavyweight training partners there, Alex and Hector, like, and, Gabe. It's just, dude, it's just crazy. I couldn't tell you, like, the camaraderie that we have there. No one's jealous of anybody's success. Whether you are a guy who's fighting for $10 million in the UFC or you're a guy who's making his amateur debut, we all grind together. We all want the best for each other. We talk about CFT TakeOver. Our boy James Dunn, just fought and had an amazing knockout. But, we just support each other so much, and we want the best for each, for all of us, that we breed the family, and we when we fight, we always tell you, like, we protect this house, so we truly, when we go into a fight, we don't just go into the fight alone. We go into it with our team, riding high, knowing that we have your back. Regardless, win, lose, or draw, we got your back 100%, so it's a super family atmosphere for those who are coming to work hard, for those who are coming with the no-nonsense attitude. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a great time. We dance, we laugh, we joke. You know, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is if you're coming to work, then we recognize that. And if, you know, you're coming there for something else, then, you know, we don't really play with that. Yeah, man. You know, obviously, Lukaz, you know, I'm not big on watching my opponents. You know, I don't really do that too much. I do that for my coaches. But for me, man, you know, obviously he's a good fighter. But everybody you're going to fight at this stage now, you know, in the UFC and these levels is going to be a good fighter. From what it seems like he kind of likes to stand up. Everybody says they're a stand-up fighter, and then I hit them once, and, you know, they kind of become panic wrestlers. You know, so it doesn't really matter. Wherever the fight goes, be ready for it. But, you know, for those who didn't know that watch me, I have 15 first-round finishes. Like, I'm going to be looking to come in there. And, you know, I've been saying this for a while, even when, you know, before the UFC was even an option for me. I was saying, like, my goal is to, you know, bring the athletic heavyweight, kickboxing heavyweight who can throw the tornado kicks, the wheel kicks, who can throw the, you know, the flying knees, who can do all the exciting things that, you know, you see. Like, my goal is, yeah, I want to be the guy that's like, man, that dude moves like a middleweight, looks like a heavyweight, hits like a heavyweight, you know, fast like a middleweight, you know. So I try to bring a different style to it. I'm never going to change that. You know, I'm going to continue to try to be, in this fight against him, you know, for me, nothing changes. You know, obviously the opponent changes, you know, when you fight, every time you fight somebody different. So whether we're going in there to fight, you know, Ngannou for the heavyweight championship of the world, or we're fighting Lukaz, you know, all it is putting your hard hat on, going to work every single day, training, you know, worrying about my game plan and what I need to do. You know, as long as that happens, I don't see myself being beat, man.
For sure. And talk about also fighting for the UFC finally. How blessed do you feel to be signed to the UFC, although it might have taken longer than anticipated?
Truly blessed, man. Like, I'm extremely blessed. One thing that nobody can say is I definitely did not back into the UFC, man. I earned every ounce of this. You know, I've had to fight podunk places. I've had to fight, and we're here. I've took every single fight that I possibly could get. I've continued to get better as a mixed martial artist. But honestly, you know, for me, although, yeah, people are like, oh, you know, like, what took so long? For me, when I think about it, I'm like, I'm still super young, you know, knock on wood. I've been as healthy as I've ever been for the past years. Mentally, I'm super determined and focused. Like, so for me, I'm like, I'm getting in the perfect time. Like, it couldn't be more perfect for me to get in now. And when you look at the UFC, you look at the heavyweight division, again, I'm not a cocky dude. I'm just, you know, I'm confident in what I do. I feel like, man, 3 wins, 3 first-round knockouts, and, you know, we're talking about, you know, Hawaii and Samoa versus Ngannou and, you know, his people, you know, if he's holding on to the belt still at that point in time. You know, I'm excited, man. I feel like the heavyweight division, obviously I respect every single fighter in the UFC heavyweight because I know what it takes just to even be thought of in the top of your peers. But at the end of the day, you know, Coach Roberto always talks about this when it comes to me in the heavyweight division. He says there's a storm coming, man, you know, and a storm is me, the dream killer, man. So, you know, I'm going to do what I need to do. And, man, you know, God is good, man. I couldn't be more excited just be on the stage. That's all you can ever ask for in life, is to be put on a platform in which you can show people your skills, right? Regardless of what happens, if you go out there and do everything that you possibly can, you can never be mad at yourself. You can never feel down. And, you know, for me, this is my redemption tour, man. Like, you know, when I think every time I fight now, you know, I think when it comes to like bare knuckle, boxing, kickboxing, since I lost that fight in 2016, I think right now I'm like 9-0. If you add my last 2 MMA fights in there, I'm 9-0 with 9 finishes in the first round, plus my, you know, my other knock, you know, but that's just including all combat sports. And every time I step into the boxing ring or the cage, I think about that feeling of what it was like when I lost and I gave up on myself. And even though I was winning that fight, I still gave up on myself. And I never, ever, ever, ever again want to feel that feeling. So it makes me train. It motivates me even more to go to the gym. You know, I work like one of our 135ers in the gym, man. You know, you know, so again, man, hard work, you bless yourself, you put yourself in position to get blessings when you work hard, man. And that's kind of all it is.
Definitely. No, that's a great answer. And, you know, talk about being on the 3-fight win streak, you know, all finishes. You know, how do you manage expectations coming into this? Although Contender Series, usually they're fighting for a contract, you're already signed. So they're going to be looking at you a little differently than the other fighters on the card.
Yeah, I I think for me, expectation is to go out there and just be great, man. Like, just be the best version of myself. You know, if it goes 15 minutes, then we're prepared for 15 minutes, you know, of if I need to put on a kickboxing seminar, if I need to put on a wrestling seminar, you know, like whatever needs to be done to win. Listen, I think it's impossible for me to have a boring fight. I honestly, truly believe that I lack the DNA to have a boring fight, because whether I win, lose, or draw, like, we're going to have some, you know, some bang, some grenade moments, you know, it's going to be some things that are going to happen. And again, you know, so I think I'm not really worried about going in there and being like, I need to get a first round finish, you know, because of expectation, or I need, you know, Dana to tell me, you know, like, I'm going in there with the mindset that I'm going to be me. And if that version of me that night is wrestling like Kurt Angle, then I'm wrestling like Kurt Angle. If that version of me is kickboxing like Bruce Lee, well, then I'm kickboxing like Bruce Lee, man. You know, so the expectation for me is to go out there and be great, win the fight, put on a show for the fans, put on a show for all those people that, you know, many, many years ago doubted that I would ever get to this moment. At the end of the day, man, just smile, man, and understand that I'm doing something that, you know how many fighters wish they could grace, you know, a UFC octagon, whether it be contenders or an UFC, like, you know how many people would give their leg up, you know, to do this? And you got to take a step back and really let that soak in and be like, I'm doing something right now that maybe 3% of the world will ever do.
That's a great way to put it. And yeah, you definitely earned it, my friend. Very excited to see you fight, and hopefully there are fans back, you know, in for the Contender Series or back in.
Yeah.
You know, we got live fans coming back this Saturday, so hopefully we get that too.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, man. I'm hoping that everything goes well. Obviously, if fans are back in the arenas, you know, obviously we'll see Belal Muhammad fights June 12th. We'll be at the UFC event with him if the fans are back. Man, I'm excited, man. Like I said, I think I see big things coming, man. Like, I'm just so excited, man. Truly blessed. Like I said, I think really, ultimately, if you come into the UFC heavyweight division and you put a couple people on notice, you know, you win 2-3 fights, you know, you get that momentum behind you. You know, what better way than to have, you know, whoever the champion is, bring him to United Center, man. Let the sea of black and red and Chicago fight team at United Center go crazy.
Definitely, man. I did see your post about that, and that'd be great someday soon. Talk also about managing the negative criticism of heavyweights. Breaking past those barriers and negativity. Obviously, you hear that, you know, heavyweights are slow and lethargic, boring at times, and, you know, they can't keep a good pace. What do you say to that?
Well, one, I would have to say you got to watch me train or watch me fight, and, you know, I'm always trying to push past the stereotypes, you know, because, you know, whether it be like working on my flexibility to throw a 7-foot head kick, or, you know, being able to spin. I really think it's just a mentality, right? Because you can be a heavyweight, but it doesn't really mean that, like, you have to move like a heavyweight. You know, because you fight in the heavyweight division, it doesn't mean that you have to plot your feet and just throw 1 or 2 heavy shots, then take 5, you know, a minute or 2 in between. You know, like, I feel like as heavyweights, sometimes we just fall into that stigma. Like, I have to do this because I'm a heavyweight. Like, there's no rule. Like, when you watch Max Holloway fight Calvin Kattar, to me, that is a perfect fight. If I could fight every fighter like that in my career, I would. And you know, it's crazy. My coaches and my teammates are like, bro, there's no way at a heavyweight you could do that. So, of course, for those who know me, as soon as somebody tells me no way, I'm ultimately like, okay, well, I need to be training that way so that I can do it. And honestly, like, that changes my training style, my sparring style, my fighting style, because, you know, for me, I'm like, you know, obviously, you know, you hit hard, 4-ounce gloves, but if I could touch you, you know, 100 times in a round, you know, and do that for 3 rounds, a heavyweight division, you know, you're hitting somebody 200, 300 times, like, if they're still awake, man, then they're never going to be the same.
Definitely.
You know, so, like, the way that I try to, you know, I imitate my game based on a lot of smaller guys. You know, I like their movements and, you know, how they do it, and, you know, I study them, and, you know, then I bring it to my coach's attention and say, hey, can we try this move? And, you know, try to implement some of those things, because, again, if you look at my hashtags, I always talk about, like, make heavyweights great again, you know, be different breed, you know. I think it's really cool now that I'm getting a chance for the people around the world to kind of see a guy who's going to go in there and, you know, is going to look like a heavyweight, you know, but is going to move like one of the lighter weight division guys, and, you know, ultimately have that be something that I think is going to be super different than people are used to seeing in the UFC.
Definitely. We're excited to see it, man, for sure. And, train at Chicago Fight Team, how have they developed your game?
Again, man, this is the first time in my life I can actually say I'm a mixed martial artist. Before I was just a striker. Now I'm actually a mixed martial artist in terms of, like, if the takedown is there, I'm taking it. If I get taken down, I'm getting up. If the submission is there, I'm already setting up the submission in my head. Everything now in my mind clicks to, whether, like, before it would just be like, okay, throw a 1-2, throw an uppercut, throw a knee, throw an elbow. Now my mindset is, oh, 1-2, oh my God, the leg's there. Oh, snatch the leg out. Oh, single leg. Oh, double leg. It's go to the back. Make the transition. Now my mind constantly thinks like a mixed martial artist. So everything that I do now, I do it in terms of, okay, I may throw that combo, but the next time I may throw that combo and it was a takedown as opposed to a kick. Again, those are the biggest changes in my game. Being able to see, ultimately, making my wrestling defense better was a big key and part of, like, Lewis and Roberto telling me, like, well, let's make your wrestling offense better so you can see where all those things are and where guys are going to be trying to take you down at all times. Remember that. He's like, so let's really work all those things, because if guys have to worry about me taking them down on top of me hitting them, then the game becomes really crazy, because it's like, okay, well, how do we stop this guy?
It's going to be great to see you perform out there, and we're looking for you to, show off everything that you have to offer.
Yes, sir, man, of course, definitely.
And then your strength and conditioning, I see you're working with Noah Boxing and Strength. Is that a fellow Hawaiian that runs that you're working with?
We just started working up there. Obviously, we're looking to, take, obviously, now that we're at the highest level, man, you got to do everything to the highest level, man. You can't really slack on anything. You need the best strength and conditioning. You got to be taking care of your food. You got to take care of your training. Everything has to be on point, man, because you want your body in tip-top optimum shape to perform at the best level it possibly can. We had been looking for a strength and conditioning coach for a while, and it just so happened that a friend of ours knew him and put us in contact, and, we had our first session today. Man, it's exactly what I needed, man, and so I'm super excited to see what that's going to do for my game, as far as cardio and strength and that goes, man. Again, man, like, for a lot of these dudes that are in the UFC and they've been there and they've had all these things already. They have the strength and conditioning, they have the wrestling. Like, for me, dude, every day I'm like a kid in a candy store, because constantly I'm getting to learn new things. I'm learning so much new stuff all the time. For me, I'm constantly just soaking it in and learning, soaking it in and learning and putting it to use. And now we're adding strength and conditioning, and now we're actually, like, dieting the right way. We've been doing that now for a year, and I'm doing so much stuff that I get excited sometimes, being like, wow, like, the maturity in which I'm doing this, and not only that, but the skill level. Every single day it just continues to grow, and all we can do is continue to do that and work hard. And I have the right coaches around me, I have the right teammates around me, we have the right mindset. Again, I think being honest with myself, with where my weaknesses were, being honest with those around me, and ultimately taking complete responsibility for what happened in my other fights, was the biggest change in my entire career.
Definitely understandable. And, talk about what do you feel that you'll bring to the UFC that the fans will be drawn to you?
Dude, so a lot of people, it's either hit or miss when it comes to Conor McGregor. But honestly, man, like, I feel, and again, like, I love Conor McGregor. He's, he's somebody who I super respect. I respect his grind, his hustle, where he came from. Being on unemployment to now being, a billionaire. For me, man, I feel like I'm that version of the heavyweight Conor that's going to come into the division. And ultimately for me, man, I just want to bring something different. I want fans to be glued to their television, when they're like, oh my God, the Dream Killers fighting tonight. Like, we got to get a ticket, or we got to make sure we're glued into the TV. Like, who knows what he's going to hit today? He might hit a flying knee. He might hit a tornado kick. Oh my, he might jump off the cage and throw a spinning elbow. Like, I want people to be so excited, when it comes to that. And then when it comes after that, man, I'm intelligent, I have the mindset, I have the skills, so now we just got to go out there and prove it, back it up. And when I get on the microphone, have some fun, man. Like a lot of guys get on the microphone and just so serious. Like, dude, have fun. Like, listen, this is my platform. I worked so hard to get here. So when I get on the microphone, man, we're going to have a great time, man, and we're going to have fun with it. And, obviously when it's said and done, I didn't get off the couch a couple of years ago because, for any reason other than I just wanted to, and I talk about this in my Facebook and Instagram things, like, I got off the couch for legacy. you know, at that I was already, you know, I was at a good place. I could have just left it. You know, I was like 12-4, 12 first-round finishes, but it didn't leave me. Like, I had a nasty taste in my mouth, obviously, like we talked about. So for me, it was like, when I come out of here, like, it's about legacy now. Like, I want to go down as one of the baddest men to ever step foot in the heavyweight division. And here I have an opportunity, a platform to do that, man. So August 31st, you know, starts that voyage towards being the baddest man on the planet. And whoever, you know, obviously the heavyweight champion is considered the baddest man on the planet. So whoever has a strap, you know, just pay attention. Like, yeah, I'm the guy that's far away right now, sitting in Chicago, that you don't know about, or maybe you do know about it. But, you know, August 31st, I'll be one step closer to, you know, and, you know, to being a household name, you know, looking to go out there and just truly show why I'm blessed. You know, that's it.
Definitely, man. We're looking forward to that debut on the 31st and what comes afterwards, man. Sky's the limit. Who would you want to fight in the UFC? It was up to you. I know you mentioned the Curtis Blades and how it might be a different fight this time around, but who out there would you like to fight?
Man, who would I like to fight? John Jones. I would love to fight John Jones. I got nothing but respect for John Jones and his fighting career. Obviously, you know, what he does outside of the UFC, you know, whatever. But inside that cage, that's a bad man. John Jones is somebody I would love to fight if he's really coming up to heavyweight. I feel like a lot of people don't even mention his name because, you know, they just ultimately feel whatever. Like, heavyweights don't even mention his name. But I would love to fight John Jones. I think that would be a great fight. Two long dudes with a lot of kickboxing experience. Another guy, Rosenthal, would be a good. I like that. And ultimately, man, honestly, when every day I go to the gym, I say the same thing. Francis Ngannou is somebody who I ultimately would love to fight. And I got nothing but love and props for what he's done, where he comes from, you know, what he stands for. But I just feel like, yo, we're two scary looking dudes who both throw bombs, you know, and I mean, who doesn't want to see that, man? Like, who doesn't want to see, you know, two athletic looking heavyweight in great shape who can both strike, you know, out there trying to see, you know, mano a mano, like, you know, who's the baddest man on the planet. So every day that I go to sleep, you know, and I wake up and the first thing I do, I think about that right there. And, you know, that's my motivation right there, because I'm like, hey, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, man. This time next year, I will be fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world, or I will be in a number one contender fight. It's going to be one of those two things, bro. I've been saying this since I got off the couch. I told everybody last year, I said by the summertime, I would be in the UFC. And here we are in the summer, and, you know, that's where we're at now. And, you know, I keep saying it now. I keep telling everybody, me and Belal, me and the guys are talking about it. I said, dude, come this time next year, I'll be spot or for the UFC Heavyweight Championship. And I'm going to tell you this, man. Like, a dude who can manifest and dude who can they're hard dudes to beat, man.
You know, when you review a fight with your team, you know, what were improvements you felt that were needed?
Oh, man, everything, man. Every day that I go to the gym, we're looking to improve everything. Like, I'm not satisfied with my striking. I'm not satisfied with my wrestling. I'm never satisfied. And, you know, a lot of guys will say that, but, like, I work every single thing. Like, my coaches have to yell at me to take days off, you know, because, you know, they just want me. But for me, everything, I need to improve every single thing every single day that I go into the gym, you know, whether it be a transition or a movement or in wrestling or striking or jiu-jitsu. We're constantly trying to become a better fighter, you know. So for me, everything. And whether I'm the guy who's not even in the top 20 or if I was the heavyweight champion of the world, I would tell you the same thing. Like, I need to improve every single day I step into the gym, you know, and that's just how I kind of keep that same mindset. It's been the mindset I've had for the last couple years now, you know, coming back into combat sports. Every day that I step into the gym, I need to get better. I've kept that mindset. I've kept that hunger. You know, obviously good things are coming from it. So we're just going to double down on that and just continue to work even harder and, you know, continue to try to get better in all aspects.
Definitely. We're excited. It's going to be great. And for you, when the world opens up, and I mean, now they are having international fighters. How much more forward are you looking to fight international fighters? Maybe we can see you compete on Fight Island one day since you're UFC. I mean, you know, you've been to Brazil before and you've taken on Brazilians, but just talk about that whole international fighters.
Yeah, man. Obviously, at some point, man, I would love to go to Hawaii and fight in Hawaii, man. I feel like, you know, that would be absolutely amazing. I know, you know, obviously Max Holloway would have to headline that event unless I was the UFC champion by that point, but that would be something that would be super awesome, man. And, you know, fighting in the UK is something I really want to do as well. See, anytime you go international and you're fighting somewhere, you know, you're the bad guy. You know, like when I went to Puerto Rico and fought Aranza, you know, or went out here and, you know, you fight these people. There's just such a thrill that you get from it, man, because there's like this ultimate feeling of like being the bad guy, you know, and whether you're the good guy, the bad guy, the hometown guy, it's just, you know, you're going international. It's like such a great time because you get to see how their fans like the sport, what other people do, you know, their type of training. Roberto and a bunch of the guys will be going down to our sister gym, CFT Guadalajara, Mexico, in a month or two to go train down there, you know. So it's always good to change it up and see and experience the world. And obviously when you're fighting, it's a business trip, but at the end of the same time, you have to understand that these are one-in-a-lifetime opportunities that you're getting, you know, so you got to soak it all in. And, you know, I always say this, you know, don't go crazy, but allow yourself the opportunity to appreciate the accomplishments that your hard work has given you. But at the same time, don't ever just let that be the only reason. Make sure that you're still working just as hard. But at the same time, take a second and breathe and say, hey, listen, you know, the reason that this is happening is from my hard work. Again, like I said, so those things like the out of town, the international fights, I think the biggest one I'd be looking forward to, man, would definitely be Hawaii. Outside of that, it would be the UK. I think they were saying something about having an Africa card. You know, that'd be really cool to fight on too. I feel like, especially, that would be super fun to fight on as well.
Definitely. I think the NFL needs to hurry up and add a Hawaiian team. So
yeah, man, they need to do something. You know, us Hawaiians and Samoans and Tongans, man, and everybody out there, man, like a lot of us, you know, we play rugby. You know, most of us grew up playing rugby, man. With that, rugby is one of the toughest sports to play. Wow. It creates, you know, great athletes in general, but obviously you get a lot of football players that come from rugby. It's always fun, man. Rugby, it breeds toughness, that's for sure.
Definitely. That's great. I didn't even know you did play rugby. It is an intense sport.
Yeah. I played inside center, man. I used to run get the ball, I'd be running, man, running people over, dragging people.
Definitely. Wow. And what can we expect on the 31st? I mean, in this fight, obviously, at the Contender Series, how do you feel like everyone's going to get on their feet after your performance, whether they're there or they're at home?
You know, obviously, in a perfect world, man, we would come out there and it would be over in an instant. You know, we would have put them out and the world would be on their feet. You know, my people back home would be on their feet. My people back in Hawaii, everybody everywhere to stand up. You know, like my journey, man, and I've never shied away from the good, the bad, or the ugly. You know, I always have kept it real. You know, I've always, when I go on my lives or, you know, I post pictures, like I always keep it real. You know, not very many fighters will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, they'll always just have a reason. Like for me, I just say, like, I keep it real. Like I just told you, like the Tyler King fight changed my life. Everything I talk to you guys about, you know, I like to consider myself to be that regular guy that was extraordinary at working hard and not quitting, not giving up, and understanding that, like, I had a dream, but I knew and I have known that it was not going to be easy to reach. You know, I've said it. Like I knew, you know, going after to try to get into UFC was not going to be an easy feat. I knew it was going to take tons of hard work. I knew it was going to take changing everything that I've known. I didn't shy away from it, man. I took it on full speed. And, you know, like those demons that you have underneath the bed, you know, you let them sit underneath the bed and they just get bigger and bigger and they become scarier and scarier, man. And that's what I was doing back in the days. And, you know, it wasn't until like 2019 that I was like, you know what? I took them demons out the bed. I put them on the bed with me. And now, you know, they're my best friends, you know. So, you know, you got to do that sometimes. You got to reevaluate your life. You got to self-evaluate. You got to be honest with yourself. You know, when you become honest with yourself fully 100%, I feel like that's when you can become a better anything. Whatever it is that you do, you know, an athlete or, you know, whatever it is that you may do, like when you do that, you become such a better individual. You become such a better person that it allows you room to grow in all aspects. So, you know, that's kind of what I work on now, man.
Well, it seems like you've definitely matured and you're in the right position now for your career. And we appreciate you, Lorenzo Hood, for being on the Fight Report today. Make sure to check out his fight August 31st. We'll see Lorenzo Hood back against another tough guy, Lukaz Brezski, on Contender Series. Make sure to get on ESPN Plus. And we appreciate you. If you want to shout out anyone, go ahead.
For those of you, go to The Real Dreamer on Twitter. And actually, I'll be having a Facebook fan page, man. I got one being made here shortly, and that'll be up, and that'll be The Real Dream Killer. I'll definitely let people know. My Lorenzo Hood page is full. I can't add anybody else. That's a good thing, though. Thank you for having me on the show, man. Big shout out to all my sponsors, my coaches, Paul Reinhardt, Roberto Ramirez, my teammates, Belal, Horacio, Max, Gabe, Alex, Hector, man. There's so many people. Man, my sponsors, Jesus, everybody with my sponsors, man, they all know who they are. for all those that ride with me or those that ride against me, treat you guys all the same. I got much love for everybody, man. You know, for what I'm in this for, man, I want everybody that has ever had something and they felt like they failed or they didn't get it or they just gave up. Like, I'm that guy that shows you that if you work your ass off and you don't make any excuses and you just bust your ass every single day, that good things will happen. You know, like, listen, if that's the only thing that anybody can ever take away from my journey, my story, then I'm okay with that.
We appreciate you, Lorenzo, being on the Fight Report.